prospective employer?
You have to write your jobs before you work there.
Right, that's your history, right? Employment history is important. But I begin my resume with a profile statement. Can someone read that for me, please?
Profile. Education system veteran looking to share the vast wealth of English language skills in order to prepare our foreign language speaking children and adults for today's emerging bilingual employment opportunities.
Okay, so that's emerging bilingual employment opportunities.
Sorry for that.
No, that's fine. You read it perfectly. What exactly do you think I'm saying?
Vision.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my vision. It basically says something about me. Because other than the fact that all of my history is here, about my jobs and my education, there's really nothing that kind of talks about what my goal is or my mission. So it's kind of telling the person reading my resume exactly what I want to do. And I wanted to share my knowledge of teaching English. So that's what it's kind of interesting if you can come up with something, because you will all be writing one, just as a sort of exercise in a few minutes, okay? The most important part of this lesson is about we have to go back in time and remember what we were doing on what date in what year. Because the prospective employer wants to know, what were you doing before you applied for this job? Does that make sense? They want to know what happened. So this is all about the past. So the first element I want to do is a profile statement, telling the employer what I want to do. Number two is basically a list. And this is your employment experience.
If you don't have got any experience, what we gonna do that?
Right. This is a very good question. If you don't have any employment experience, you can go straight to your education.
Okay.
That would be first. So education is really important because they want to know, did you go to university? Especially if you're applying for a scientific job or as a lawyer or, you know, as a teacher.
It's more important if you don't got experience.
It is. Because they're not looking, depending on where you go, they will know. They'll see your age, and they'll see how old you were when you went to school and what year it was, and they'll go, oh, you just graduated from university, didn't you? And so they don't expect you to have a history. What do you think we should put first in employment
Your best
history?
ones.
Your best ones?
Yes.
How about the most recent? The one that,
Recent.
yeah, the most recent, like in time. We're talking about time, right? This is history, but not that far away in history. In other words, I worked for the summer school. Before I started Okan University, I worked in Samsung, June to July. I did 1 month there. So this is very recent. This was this year.
But if your boss, your employer,
Right.
employer, is
Yeah.
it you?
Yes.
Yes. Is your employer looking for like that? Okay. You lose. You must put your best in the top of your CV, I think.
You know, I love the way you think. I really do. I love the way you think. You're so different in your thoughts. Exactly. Because if your last job wasn't your favorite or there was a problem, right?
You are not one başvurmak ne demek? Ne? Applier. Maybe.
Okay, applicant. That's right.
Yes.
I'm not the only applicant. Oh, do you know, he has brought up such a great point. Because you're now competing, aren't you? You're competing. How many people are applying for that job? We don't know, do we? These are the things we don't know. So that's why it's good to have several ideas to make your CV very effective? I suggest the first one is keep it under 3 pages.
Yes. For example, if you got better references,
Mhm.
you got to put it in your first page. If you got nice references, good.
Well, usually, let me just explain to you how this works. If you put your references at the end, that gives the employer somewhere to look. So it's like, okay, where are your references? They have to make it all the way to the end of your resume or your CV before they look at the reference. But I really like the way you think, Matt. You really have such a great brain for all of this. You do. You have a wonderful mind for resume making because you understand the importance, and he's absolutely right. He understands the importance of putting the very important information right in the front so that they can see it first. Although they will want to see it in chronological order. That means the time that it occurred in the past, the most recent time to earlier time. What kind of things do we have to tell about our employment experience, about our work experience?
Our past works and now working.
Right, we need to tell
About
them
your
that.
occupations, I know, but for example, your job, your location, and your company,
Right,
like that.
and the date. Yes,
And the
exactly. Exactly, thank you. That's absolutely perfect. So for the first one, I will have to say what my job was. My job was, let me get a different
English
one.
teacher.
I was an English teacher, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. So, and you can see it, it's right here for you, but these are things that are really important. These elements cannot be missed because they have to look, it's kind of like a road map to your past. If you can think of it that way, it will really help you to put your thoughts in order. So even if it was a summer job for 2 weeks, they still want to know about it. That's what you must remember about building your resume.
Ask something.
Yes, absolutely.
In some CVs I saw, they write their personal information like your age, not hobbies, your age, your age.
It's okay.
Like personal information, they write it in the first page, but
Yes.
there is no personal information in the CV.
Actually, there's some. At the very top, I've got my name, I've got
I
my
can't see
telephone.
how old are you.
Let me explain that. He's brought up a really good point, your age. First of all, in America, a company is not legally required to know your age. Two, in America, they are not legally actually able to ask you your age. They are also not allowed to ask you your marital status or if you have children. Now, maybe it's different in Turkey. Do they want to know your age?
Your age, your children, your everything.
Really?
Yes.
So that's very different, isn't it? We've got a very culturally diverse CV or resume writing operation ahead of us. But I would say, if you think it's necessary for that information to be there, because you're in Turkey, then by all means include it. Very different in America. What do you think?
Someone wants, for example, my father's employer, and when I saw the CVs, and I told him, what do you want to know their age or their children? And he said, if they have children, so they
Get permission.
they allow a much.
Ah,
Like this.
Okay. I understand. So he's looking at this.
They are asking if you got a child,
Mhm.
how old they are.
Right.
Yes, because if the boss must fire anyone,
Mhm.
he don't want to fire childless persons.
Wow.
Like this.
You see, this is just really fascinating.